Hola amigos, tengo un show el 3 de octubre en el Laugh Factory de San Diego. Es totalmente en español. Por favor, avisen a sus amigos, a sus familiares, porque necesitamos apoyar al stand-up en español en Estados Unidos. Va a haber un link aquí. Es en el Laugh Factory de San Diego el 3 de octubre.
The average person is said to spend 15 minutes in the bathroom. Why not take advantage of that time and learn something new? Presenting the 15-minute podcast on weird facts, crazy details, and funny particulars that you'll be able to enjoy while you're taking a on your free time. Welcome to The Shit with Sam Butler.
Welcome to another episode of the Shit Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. I have a very special guest, a local artist here in Ciudad Juarez. He's actually an up-and-coming stand-up comedian, actress, dancer, singer. Thank you for being here, Frida Araujo.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm very excited.
There you go. You speak good English. You're saying, I don't speak that well. Yeah, you do. You're kidding me.
No, I'm very nervous.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's fine. That's the beauty of this podcast is that we're doing it in two languages. So I get to mess up in the Spanish one. You get to mess up in the English one. Yeah. But it's cool. Okay. And we're going to talk about something that people might not know about you that are just tuning in or that are listening to the podcast is that you're actually a pretty good up-and-coming comedian here in Ciudad Juarez.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're doing stand-up. And that's something that a lot of people might not understand is that there's a different style of comedy here in Mexico that's still kind of popular. And it's the old school or the vaudeville type comedy, which is more like telling jokes but you're doing stand-up, right? So it's good that you're doing stand-up and you actually have an up-and-coming show by the time this airs, it'll be done with. But it's pretty good. Congratulations. You'll be performing in Austin, Texas. So that's pretty exciting. And then you're opening for a pretty big name. So that's pretty exciting as well. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And
thank you very much.
I know I can tell you right now, keep an eye on this girl. She's going to make it. You got that it factor. So it's a pleasure having you on the podcast. I actually thought this was a very good, because you've been doing stand-up, like 2 years?
Yeah, almost
2.5 years. You're very good for 2.5 years. It doesn't seem like you've been doing comedy for about 2.5 years. It seems like you've been doing it a lot longer, which is great. But I know you're also an actress.
Yes.
So how long have you been acting?
Oh my God. Okay, this is gonna sound very strange, but maybe 15 years. 15 years. That doesn't sound strange at all because I'm very young.
Yeah, you can see it in your stage presence that there's actual training. There's confidence on stage that new comedians usually don't have. When I started doing stand-up, the first 2 or 3 years was like I had to rehearse my set. I had to do it word for word. I couldn't forget a word or my whole joke would be off. And you don't have any of that. You go up there, you're very comfortable on stage. So that's very good. You're already ahead of the game with that. But I thought that this was a good opportunity to talk about something that I've always wondered about. And I don't know if you do this or not, but it's called method acting. Right?
Yes.
And
I think once
I tried
it, but not as that point because I just sometimes out of the scenario I do the jokes like my role, but and when we finished the project, it was a musical theater, and when we finished the project, it was hard to me to leave it behind. Yes, it was very hard to me, but not at that point. At that very point that.
So you get into character and you become the character, and you're like let's say I get to play security guard at a bar, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna shave my head and wear tight T-shirts that say security on them, and I'm gonna do this for 6 months.
Yeah. In your real life.
In my real life. And I'm going to learn how it is to not let people through and and get a $20 tip.
You start to work in a bar.
I start working at a
just to
bar.
try it. Yeah.
And that's called method acting.
Yeah.
And then I get the job, and then I'm the real deal. But then the shooting is over, and I go back to my real life, and I still want to go work at the bar.
Yeah.
Is that how that goes? I mean, that's kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I miss working in the bar. It's like, yeah. So we're going to talk about some extreme cases of method acting.
Wow, very interesting.
And that's one of the things that I started thinking. One of the good movie, I'm not going to say my favorites, but a movie that I've enjoyed was The Pianist. Did you ever watch that movie?
Oh, yes.
With Aidan Brody. It was 2002. It's a Holocaust. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I like a lot of the World War II themes in my podcast. I talk a lot about it.
Yeah.
But he actually dropped 30 pounds. 30 pounds. 15 kilos.
Yes.
To look good.
A lot.
See, that's where I think I would like say, how much do I really want to act?
Yeah.
It's I got to lose weight.
Yeah.
I don't know. This might not work.
And it's a shock for the body.
Yeah.
For all the body in your mind doing something as that. It's very, very hard.
So that was the first thing he did. He dropped 30 pounds. Doesn't sound that tough, but he's a skinny guy to begin with.
Yeah.
Right? So he plays Władysław Spilsman, the pianist. So he actually had to learn how to play the piano. So he learned how to play the piano, practicing hours a day. And most actors would have been like, okay, that's enough. But he decided he needed to feel lost. So
he killed his family.
He gave up his apartment. He killed his family. Yeah, he's like, we're going to put you in the oven.
I'm sorry. This is for my job. I love you.
Mom.
Yeah. You need to be real. You need to be real.
You need to be real.
You love or not love your job.
Yeah. So he left his apartment. He sold his car. He disconnected his phones. And he moved to Europe. He took 2 bags and a keyboard. And his girlfriend left him.
Oh my God.
So it paid off. He won Best Oscar for 2000. Best Actor for 2003. Won the Oscar.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty interesting story.
In this case, I maybe understand him a little bit because it was a very hard role in this movie, and he need to felt a little bit closer as the people who passed for this
Holocaust.
the Holocaust. So I understand in this case. I don't know the next ones, but in this case, I maybe understand him.
You understand that? That's cool. Well, you know who Halle Berry is?
Yeah.
She did a movie in 1991 called Jungle Fever.
Yeah.
Do you know what role she played?
No.
She was a crackhead. Right? So Halle Berry, trying to be as much of a crackhead as possible, she says she never did the drugs, that's where she drew the line, but that she spent a lot of time in crack dens as part of her research. So she went to where there was people smoking crack and hung out there. Right?
Yeah.
And
maybe she do some.
I think she did some, right?
Maybe.
And she didn't bathe for 2 weeks. She told Wendy Williams, who's a talk show host, that ask Sam Jackson. He had to get a whiff of it. So Samuel Jackson was able to smell this lady after 2 weeks of playing that role. So she was a crackhead and she wanted to smell and look like a crackhead.
Yeah.
So that's what she did to
oh my God.
that.
Yeah.
That was Jungle Fever. Wow. Now Robert De Niro for Taxi Driver.
Yes.
He actually went and got a taxi driver's license to prepare for the Martin Scorsese classic. He worked 12-hour shifts and reportedly pick up passengers around New York City during his breaks from shooting. So he drove a taxi in New York to figure out what it was like to drive a taxi in New York.
Wow. Maybe some people get him, it was there. No, it was him in the taxi and they didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be pretty cool, right? Like
Yeah.
you get picked up by a taxi and you're like, wow, that guy really looks like Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If he didn't have a mohawk, I would say that's Robert De Niro.
They never
you know?
know.
I mean, it's just like, get in the taxi, you know?
Hey, you can be a good
Impersonator?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. He's just always like, yeah. Shia LaBeouf. He got his role in the World War II soldier movie Fury.
Fury. I never seen it.
Fury is a movie with Brad Pitt. They're in a tank, and it's about World War II, a tank crew, right?
Okay.
Driving, and they get encountered by Nazis, and they have to fight to the death, pretty much.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So he gets a job as a soldier in Fury. So he joins the U.S. National Guard. He joins the Army. And he says he was baptized, accepted Christ in his heart. He was tattooed, and he became a chaplain's assistant to Chaplain 8 for the 31st Infantry. He spent a month living on a forward operating base, which is called the FOB. And then he linked up with a cast and went to Fort Irwin.
Oh my God.
He had his teeth pulled. He had some baby teeth, and he had them pulled. And then he cut his face with a knife, and he spent. And it says he spent days watching horses die. I don't know what that. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
What?
But somehow that made him a better actor.
Just because he liked it.
Yeah, it's like
Because he liked it.
I was down at the glue factory.
Yeah.
It really helped me get into character. You know.
Oh my God. That's insane.
Yeah, but he didn't bathe for 4 months. He didn't take a shower for 4 months.
Whoa, that is
because he had heard that some soldiers hadn't changed socks for 3 years. in World War
No. Guacala.
II. Shia LaBeouf, you know. Let's see who else we can. Because I want to talk about the last one, the best, but there's so many examples.
Maybe. Oh no! I can. Take a shower is not take a shower is not very hard, but when it was a very a few days and a week and oh no, maybe I can't resist the uncomfortable in your private parts.
Could you imagine the smell?
No. With baby wipes? No. No.
Well, they didn't exist back in 1942.
No.
So.
Oh my God, no.
So Leonardo Dicaprio.
Oh.
Leonardo, the Reverend, he plays Hugh Glass, right? If you listen to the Leyendas Legendarias, they did a whole episode. Was it El Dollop or Leyendas Legendarias did Hugh Glass? It was El Dollop. El Dollop did Hugh Glass. Well, Leonardo DiCaprio is reported to have actually slept inside of an animal carcass.
No.
To prepare for the role.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now, people are going like, the big question is, how long did he sleep in the carcass?
No.
Was he there for a couple of weeks? Was he there for a day?
Just for an hour.
Was he there for an hour? It's kind of a shady way of saying.
Yeah.
But they say that he climbed into the carcass.
But he did it.
He did it.
That's what it matters.
That's what matters. So to get into the role of Hugh Glass, he actually slept inside of an animal carcass. You know, which that movie is what got him his Oscar.
Do you remember this? I don't know. I don't remember the name of the movie, but it was a scene where he punched the, I don't know if that is the word, but punched the table, and it was
Yeah. It was Django.
Django.
Yeah,
Django.
we talked about that on one of the episodes of Sam and Ram at the movies.
Yes.
He broke the glass.
He broke the glass,
and
with
he
his
just
head.
kept acting with the bleeding. But then what got me was he rubbed his blood on Kerry Washington's face.
Yeah.
And that was all improvised.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I think Leonardo DiCaprio is probably one of the most underrated actors because I think he could have gotten an Oscar for Who's Gilbert Grape. As a little kid, I was eating Gilbert Grape. He should have. I mean, even the movies that weren't that good, like like the guy in the Iron Mask was pretty good. So DiCaprio, he didn't win an Oscar for Titanic. He should have won. I don't know if he should have won. I mean, I don't know if that's, but it was a huge blockbuster. So I think he's very underrated as an actor, but I think he's a very good actor.
Yeah, very, very good actor.
And finally happy that he got his Oscar with the Revenant.
The Revenant.
Now, of course, we can't talk about extreme method acting without talking about Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis did Gangs of New York. Yeah. So he actually spent his time walking around the streets of Rome, where the movie is set, and he did it in the cold, wearing a very thin wool coat, because his character would have not had money. So he wanted to get into character. And he would pick fights with people in the street and get beat up and stuff to figure out how it would have been to be that character. And that went on so long that he actually ended up getting pneumonia from walking around with a really thin coat. Yeah. So Daniel Day-Lewis, there's a ton of Daniel Day-Lewis method acting. I think he's one of the most extreme. Method actors out there. But he did that for Gangs of New York. He was in a wheelchair. He did a deal where he's in a wheelchair. My Left Foot, I think it was the movie. And he spent his whole time in a wheelchair so he can get into the position of being in a wheelchair. And so forth and so on. So Daniel Day-Lewis, honorable mention.
Wow.
He got himself shot in the theater to play Lincoln. Shoot me back here. Yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis is considered like the most extreme method actor. Yeah. But the one that I thought was like, wow, that's pretty interesting, was Sylvester Stallone.
Really?
Yeah, Rocky IV. Sylvester Stallone, if you look at the Rocky movies, you can see where physically he gets fitter for his roles. So he's pushing his body to extremes to be fit.
Yeah.
But in Rocky IV, he's fighting Ivan Drago, right? Which is Dolph Lundgren. He asked Dolph Lundgren to punch him for reals because he wants the scenes to be real. So he's getting beat up by Dolph Lundgren for real.
In the movie,
during the filming.
Oh my God.
Right? And several takes of this kind of took its toll on him. And Dolph Lundgren hit him in the chest. And he hit him so hard that his heart bounced against his rib cage.
Fuck.
Yeah. And he actually had to be, because apparently the movie was filmed in Canada. Because you remember, that was about him going to Russia to train. So it was filmed in Canada. They had to fly him to Santa Monica.
Oh my God.
Where he was in the hospital. And they said that this is something that happens very often when people get into car accidents.
Yeah.
Because the steering wheel hit him in the chest and it makes the heart bounce against the rib cage. So he says he got hit in the chest by a streetcar named Drago. You know, that's the joke.
Yeah.
So that was one of the most extreme, and I thought one of the most interesting method acting things is to actually get punched around by
beep beep motherfucker. Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. It's very, very interesting.
Very interesting.
And he started as a I don't remember the name of Vagabundo.
Oh yeah, as a homeless guy.
Homeless.
Yeah.
He was a homeless guy, right? Something like that.
We did a Que Fue de Ellos on Rocky. It was like a 2-part. It was a really long 2-part, but it was a lot of information. And that was one of the things I don't think we talked about was the method acting. But what he did is he was very poor. He was living in Philadelphia and he didn't have money. He sells his dog.
Yeah.
Right? And Butkus. And then he writes the script. And then he tries to sell it. They offer him $100,000 for it. Yeah. He says, no, I have to be the lead actor. They say no. So he keeps pitching it. And finally he gets the lead acting role. And that movie wins Oscars.
Yeah, and he buy again.
And then he goes and he buys his dog. I think it was like $100,000 that he paid for his dog to get his dog back.
Oh, those motherfuckers!
Yeah.
Those no.
Yeah.
Oh no, you have
like,
money. You have enough money. How much you love your dog?
Yeah, I think it was like like 14,000 if I don't remember correctly. But he had to pay a lot of money to get his dog back, and you know, this was what launched his career.
Yeah.
So he's the underdog. This is the guy that you never would have thought would have made it. He actually has a speech impediment. That's why he talks that way. You know, so it's one of those things that this is an extreme case where he wanted it to look like he was really getting punched, and he was really getting punched by a guy named Doc. And the guy is a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
So those are some examples of extreme method acting. Thank you for being here on the podcast.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing this with me. And this is something to think about. You know, next time you get a role, you might want to do the method acting part, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to try it.
You're going to try it? Yeah. Yeah, it's like La Reina del Sur.
La Reina del Sur.
Yeah.
Pow, pow. Yeah. It can be funny. Yeah. Pew, pew. Pew, pew.
Pew, pew is right. Pew, pew is the correct fake gun sound to make when you're making gun sounds, you know. But thank you for joining me, Frida. It was a pleasure having you. Good luck on your upcoming shows.
Thank you.
Where can people find you on your social media?
You can find me as Frida Araujo F, or Frida Araujo F.
That's fine.
And you can find me anywhere in social media.
Yeah, that's cool. And you can find me as Tu Amigo Sam on all of the social media, and as well as my YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, make sure you hit the little notification bell so that you get notified when our episodes are up. Thank you guys for supporting it. Thank you to the group Los Cagadienses for all of the cool memes and cool stuff that you guys put up. And also, we want to thank you for supporting our podcast. With that being said, you can find my podcast on different podcast social media platforms as Sta Cagado Podcast, STA Cagado Podcast. With that being said, that wraps up this episode of our podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Frida, for being here.
Thank
We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.